Yo, what up, what up, what up? Welcome back to another Magic Games video, guys. As you can see what it is we're going to be talking about today. Let me just make sure that music is a little bit lower. It will be the new patch. We're going to try to make this as fast as possible because we are live right now. So if you're watching this on YouTube, unfortunately you kind of missed this. That's okay. You can catch me next time. You can get in there. You can have a discussion together. But for now, we are doing this patch right before we actually try it out. So I'm going to be checking this out and seeing what the changes are, and then going in and trying to test some of this stuff and see what we can make happen today. So let's kind of jump right into it. Basic overview. Well, actually, before we even get to the basic overview, I'm not going to be reading through the full patch with you guys. You can see it's quite extensive, very long list. They did quite a bit. So this is their third like really massive one. So we'll be skipping the known issues, and we'll also be skipping the fixes. So if you're interested in those, the link will be in the description below, along with chapters, so you can skip around to the sections that you might be more interested in, because we will be hitting the weapons and gameplay and that sort of thing. All right, so kind of going back up to the overview. So for this patch, they have some major points of interest, as they say. Supply lines and attack origins, stratagems, weapon planets, crash fixes. Again, you have to read that on your own. Invite only lobby creation. Right, the most opinion in this lobby setting is currently only localized in English. Additional languages. Let's go straight up with balancing. And now this one's pretty interesting because it's not just weapons balancing. It's the goal is stratagem balancing. So with these balance changes, we wanted to buff up some of the weaker stratagems to make them more viable and add more possibility for variety in loadouts, which is good. That's a good thing. We also changed a few to make them more consistent, but the goal was to keep them similar or higher power level. We're looking into stratagems more to see if there are any other stratagems that might need some buffs or changes to make them more viable. We also want to be better at explaining what our goals with changes are, which is good, and so you can link their blog posts to kind of get their thought process behind it. So first one, we have the AMLS 4X Rocket Sentry, a decreased spread, so higher damage and single target, maybe a bit more focused. We'll see. Prioritizes larger targets, so Bio Titans, things of that nature. All right. Target distance increased from 75 to 100 meters. Decrease rocket salvo to 2 to 1 to get better ammo economy. All right. Increase explosion radius from 1 meter to 4 meters. Decrease explosion armor penetration. Explosion can no longer damage heavily armored enemies. The projectile still has enough AP to damage heavily armored targets. Okay, so they looks like they made it very focused fire friendly, so that to get rid of your biggest targets or your heaviest armor targets. It seems what they did to this. Increase projectile damage from 200 to 300. Machine gun sentry, reduce cooldown from 180 seconds to 2 minutes. Makes sense. I feel like that's kind of a weaker stratagem, so I guess they fire it more often now, basically. Machine gun sentry, Gatling gun, rocket sentry, auto cannon sentry, motor sentry, EMS sentry, decreased durability from. Oh, actually, I just realized these are sentries. So I didn't even. They said stratagem balancing, and then I'm reading sentries is the first thing, which is hilarious. I didn't even think about that when I was going through it. So I was like calling it down, and it like clicked in my head. You're talking about the turrets and stuff, but the increased their durability for like practically all of them. If I don't see the Tesla tower here, and I think I might be missing something else, but I can't picture it between what these sentries are. All right, so you guys might have heard that click. I'm sorry. It's like 100 degrees here. We gotta have the AC on. The EGM 100 HGM or HMG emplacement rotation speed increased by 100%. Nice, super helpful. MD6 anti-personnel minefield increased explosion damage. Don't step on the mines. You will die. Incendiary mines increase explosion. I see, just big damage. All right. Orbital Gatling. Now we're talking about the stratagems. Okay, so increased fire rate by 25%. All right. Increased rounds to 30 to 60. Now that's going to be pretty helpful, especially with the increased fire rate. Increased armor penetration can damage heavily armored enemies. Decreased cooldown from 80 to 70 seconds. Orbital Precision Strike. Decrease cooldown from 100 to 90 seconds. Alright, again, making things a little bit faster. Decrease spawn call time from 4 seconds to 2 seconds. So not only will you get it slightly more often, it won't take as long to actually hit, which is good. Orbital Airburst Strike. Woo, say that 5 times fast. Decreased cooldown from 120 seconds to 100 seconds. Alright. So there's a lot of it seems to be time-based so far. This one definitely increases damage because you get increased fire rate and more ammo, so that spin up is going to happen a lot quicker. But the other ones just seems like you get more time to use them. I don't know if that improves their functionality though. Like, yeah, you might be able to get to use it more, but does it kill? I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out. While these things may look straight up like a nerf, this is not the intention. Please see the bulk roast. Yes, sir. Early stream today, AY. We gotta blast through some things. I didn't want to completely cancel it, and so we're going through the new change list for patch basically 0.400. Improved targeting, increase projectile armor penetration. Now it does 100% damage to heavily armored enemies instead of 50%, so good. Decrease projectile damage from 600 to 250 to compensate for the improved targeting and extra damage. Increase our armor penetration. I don't know how I feel about that one, but alright. Decrease explosion armor penetration. Explosions can no longer damage heavily armored enemies. Alright, that kind of... Do I need to go to the block bus? Because I feel like this is like a nerf buff, but whatever. Eagle strafing run increases from 3 to 4. Alright. Increased armor penetration can now damage heavily armored enemies. Right on. Grenade launcher. Increased explosion damage from 350 to 400. Cool. Heavy machine gun. Alright. Increased projectile damage 100 to 150. Alright. Increased projectile damage against durable body parts to basically another 10%. That's cool. Decreased fire rate. Why would you want to decrease the fire rate though? Like, it seems to be all across the board too. 450, 750, 900 to 450, 600, 750. Decrease reload time. Now there you go, because that was one of the biggest things why I would use this. Why use the machine gun when the Star Wars you don't have to like spend a century reloading. So increase from 7 to 5.5. Increase stagger strength, so that's good. Machine gun decrease reload time, so that's good. 4 to 3.5 seconds. Increase max amount of magazines from 3 to 4. I'd actually prefer to instead have that spread out and increase how long it shoots rather than just, because that decreases like how many times you want to keep from reloading as much as possible, right? So like I prefer more in the clip than just another clip, if that makes sense. But all right, hey, we take what we can get. Machine gun sentry, Gatling gun sentry, and Patriot exosuits Gatling. Woo, words. All receive an increased projectile damage from 80 to 90. Okay, an increased projectile damage against durable body parts from 7.5 to 25%. So that's pretty good. I'm actually kind of interested in this one. The Liberator, Stalwart, and Guard Dog increased projectile damage against durable body parts. That's good. Oh, and actually one of the guns I actually like, the Liberator Concussive, increased projectile damage against durable body parts from 23 to 35%. Now, I don't think it's going to change this gun from being mid. Like, I still like the way it fires, but it kind of needs to kill, or it needs like a bigger clip size to get that down. I feel like that's really what's holding it back. Maybe like a bigger clip size. Like I said, you want to be able to shoot more or reload less. But we'll see. I'm going to try it out. B14 Argicator, increased magazine capacity from 25 to 30. See, this is what I'm talking about. Increase those magazine size. Increase projectile damage against durable body parts. So that's all right. Tenderizer, increased projectile damage from 60 to 95. Increased projectile damage against durable body parts from 10 to 17%. Decreased ammo capacity, don't agree. Decreased number of magazines from 10 to 8. Increased stagger strength. So I guess that's supposed to be the trade-off of having more projectile damage and durable. Like they didn't want to like over-tune it, but I kind of feel like over-tune it and then like, okay, this is too much. Pull it back to these. Like, I don't know about immediately just decreasing the ammo. Like, you want things to feel good to play and to use, right? And I feel like you're just going to leave it in the same spot, right? If you're doing the same number of increases and decreases, but I guess we'll get to that. Let's move to the list. Purifier increased projectile armor penetration to be the same as the explosion. Decreased explosion damage fall off. Right. Also crossbow. I hope this really got buffed because it feels super mid. Increased explosion armor penetration to be the same as the projectile. Increased demolition strength can destroy bug holes and bot fabricator buildings. All right. Added medium penetration tag. I don't know if that's enough, but we'll try it out. We'll see what happens. Eruptor increased total damage from 420 to 570 per shot. All right, right on. Just straight up damage buff. The Diligence increased projectile damage against durable body parts 10% to 25. Some enemies have durable body parts that receive only a portion of base damage from projectiles. And then some other things, updated recoil stance modifiers. We made the change to recoil stance modifiers to make them more consistent. Also reward for being more prone. Almost all of them will improve the recoil, and only 2 have been made worse. I mean, I suppose this is good if you have an opportunity to play prone, but I find that in Helldiving up, you gotta keep moving, you know what I mean? But hey, gameplay. General, we've removed modifier AA defense, reducing stratagems by slots. Yo, I misread that because the excitement level I have right now, you have no idea. There should be, in my opinion, no stratagems that mess, or no modifiers that mess with your stratagems, bro, to be honest. Like, you want things to feel good, and you have player experiences to feel great to have them. Like, when you nerf what you can do, never feels good. So I'm glad that they've removed this one. We want to look over the operation modifier in the future. Right now there are too few of them, which become repetitive, and ones we do not create variety and promote different playstyles. Thank you. Exactly. For now we remove this one because it only encourages the players to bring the best strategies, does not promote variety. It definitely did not, because when you only have 3, you have to be super picky and make sure they're effective. So there's that. Super samples now spawn in difficulty 6. Oh, that's pretty good, for especially for people who are newer or don't want to like try hard. For this reason, the change we feel the existence only on difficulty 7 plus, force some players to play the game on a harder difficulty than they wanted to comfortably play on. However, we do still want gating of them, but less punishing one. So yeah, that's just what I was just getting at. Definitely, everyone, you have difficulty levels for a reason, right? So it's nice that they're not punished from not being able to upgrade their ships. So that's pretty good. The Sea Artillery stratagem is no longer blocked by stratagem jammers or ion storms, and is available after the mission timer ends and the destroyer chooses to leave orbit. Alright. Enemies in melee range of the gates in high evacuate, high asset missions will now attack it more consistently. Okay. Added the ability to chat in-game menus. Okay, Q.o.L. Alright, there you go. Updated some first-person crosshairs to improve readability. Nice, good Q.o.L. Invite-only lobbies now supported. Play with your friends. You don't have to worry about kicking people, right? You invite only. New armor passive peak physique. Plus 50% melee damage, plus 30% weapon ergonomics. There's that thing, ergonomics again. I'm not quite sure. Like, I need to do some more research because I don't understand what they mean when they put in weapon ergonomics. But that's just me. I play by feel more often than not. So hey, planets and hazards. Spike plant. The spike plant that appears on certain planets has been reworked. All right. No longer causes bleed and stamina drain if hit the plant explosion or spikes. Right on. Now pops 3 times, sending spikes everywhere, dealing increased damage. Fire tornadoes. Fire tornadoes have had their behavior change. The Shinoga feel like they actively respond to player move. Yo, facts. And should move more randomly. I definitely felt like, is this tornado following me? That's 100. That's crazy. While fire tornado storm takes place and enemy vision is reduced. Oh, that's cool. Player vision is unaffected. Even better. Fire tornadoes being more random should result in variant situations and find themselves in a tornado less likely to pile up and overlap on extraction points. Ooh. I don't think I've ever had that happen, but that sounds terrible. It goes to show these modifiers ain't it, man. And it will generally be easier to deal with. Trimmers. Trimmers have had their spawning tweaked to be slightly more random. Okay. Trimmers had their epicenter and size effect range increased. Don't be around. These changes should result in more situations where enemies away from the players get stunned, as well as reducing how consistently the player has tremor occurring next to them. All right. Ion storms. Added additional visual effects for ion storms. Can we just remove them? That'd be great. Visibility. A lot of planets have had their fog amounts tweaked. Be be less harsh and dense to provide less fatigue and consistently fight on planets with bad visibility. Yo, this is actually a great change. The real talk. This is a huge Q.o.L, and I'll get into that right at the end here. We still intend for there to be foggy planets with worse visibility, but the balance was a bit off. Desert planets such as Errata Prime, Court Bay, Elmire, and the similar. Island planets such as Valyria 5, Matter Bay, Oceanune? Yeah, someone's gonna have to say that one out loud for me. And the similar. Artificial light sources have had their intensity rebalanced and reduced across the board to fix situations of light completely blinding the player. So this is one thing I have to talk about. Just a quick side note, quick tangent. You ever been playing any first-person shooter or third-person shooter? They have flashbangs in the game, right? And player throws it down, screen's completely white, but it's like the brightest white you've ever seen. And like, this is the thing that I feel like is kind of lost on video games. Like, see planets with bad visibility and how it can, what they talk about, give you fatigue from constantly playing. Like, that's the thing. Like, we're playing a video game. Like, why am I blinding myself to play your video game? I understand the immersion, the realism, the feel. Like, yeah, it should be fine, but like, how do I just make it like blurry screened instead of like bright white? Like, why do my eyes hurt playing your game? Is essentially where I'm getting at, and I think this is a great change, and it'd be helpful for people when they don't even realize it. Like, you know, man, why am I feeling tired or I want to turn off the game? Is probably because like you're straining yourself, and that's one of the like the big things about like flashbangs I don't like in games, is they never do it to where it doesn't visibly hurt the player. So I think this is a huge change, and I know people may not see it like that, but from my perspective, I love Q.o.L changes that help you enjoy or stay in it and you not even realize it. Those are great changes, actually. Unexploded hell bomb, rough. Unexploded malfunctioning hell bombs that can sometimes be found on planets will now explode immediately if hit with strong explosions or heavy weaponry. That's nice. They will still have some delay if hit by small arms or weaker attacks. Vegetation is large enough to slow players down, now has extra function. When inside vegetation, Helldivers will be harder to detect. Thank you. I hate it accidentally running into a bush and then just getting swarmed. Reducing their detection range by enemies. This affects stats with other detection reducing effects such as nighttime, being crouched or prone, or other things such as scout armor. Oh, that's kind of cool. Like nighttime, and then like changing how you view. Like you can actually hide in the grass now. That's pretty nice. Acid effect. The acid effect applied by hunters, bug mines, etc. now allows you to sprint while under the thank yous and slows you by 30% instead of 50%. Duration has increased from 3 to 4 seconds. These changes are intended to make it less punishing to being slow while fighting tournaments. Allows you to use it in more places without making experience very punishing from battles. So yeah, you get touched, it's like basically instant dead. You know what I mean? Especially on higher difficulties. Alright, armored enemy balance. We've toned down the amount of heavily armored enemies like Bio Titans chargers on higher difficulties, instead spawning more hordes of smaller enemies. The difference should be quite noticeable, and the amount should be at least 30% less. Wow, that's pretty good. That way you can't have like 11 Bio Titans on the screen. That'd be dope. We've also toned down slightly how many Hawks spawn and automatons. Our intent is to ease up on the demand of anti-tank weapons. Yeah, I definitely would always bring like 2. And by having more of the other enemies give a better incentive for the group to bring stratagems of weapons to take care of hordes. I'm kind of cool with this. I'm gonna try that out then. I'm gonna probably bring more stratagems that do like AoE damage then, because I would always bring in like a Quasar, anti-tank gun, something that pierce heavy enemies. Patrol spawning is now back to how it worked before patch 0.000.300 with some slight tweaks so that leaves less empty space far away from important locations with enemy presence. All right. Stunning medium and large enemies now don't get stunned as easily. This will not affect the stratagems that stun, will mostly just affect the pummeler, which can stun large enemies. So they basically just a nerf straight to the pummeler. Got it. Whew. All right, we got a bit more to go through, guys. I'm working my way through. This is gonna be a long YouTube video. Terminants, Bow Spewer, and Nursing Spewer. Spewers will now get slowed if they lose their legs. All right, right on. Spewer Puke applies the acid effect. Spewer Puke can now only damage Helldivers up to 4 times per second, and the Helldiver cannot take damage from multiple times from the same projectile. This will reduce instances where you're instantly killed by it. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like, I feel like you get hit by the bile, and that was DED, dead. You know what I mean? I know I spelled it wrong. That's why we do it around here. Bow Titan. The Bow Titan's head is slightly less durable against weaker anti-tank weapons. It's not a large change, but it mostly matters for weapons like the railgun. All right. Bow Titan's Puke can only now damage, excuse me, the Helldiver 4 times per second. Okay, it's basically the same as the Bow Spewer. I'm not gonna finish reading that. Charger Behemoth. Charger now join the battle on higher difficulties. It can also take more damage than before. This enables us to spawn fewer charges but retain the difficulty. So there's going to be less, but you're going to have to shoot them more. Alright. Chargers will now show bleed out effects from their body if bleed out state is started, and can still show bleed out effects from the mouth without having to start the bleed. I thought it did. Am I tripping? Was it just me? I thought they definitely still had like leaking blood if they're bleeding out, but I guess maybe they'll just be a lot more visible. Alright. Automaton's Hawk Sculpture. The Hawk's flamethrower now does less damaging. Cannot damage. Okay, so they basically gave the same Bow Spewer to the Hawk's Sculptures. The same thing applies. Less than 4 times per second. The tanks. The tank armor in the front has been lowered to the same as the non-vent section, so you can kill it from everywhere. The rear tank, the intent was initially supposed to be more armor from the front, but the visual language did not show that. Let me wait. They said it was going to be lowered though. I guess they just explained it. Okay, that's just like that blog post thing. Got it. The vents on the back of the tank's turret will still have the same armor values before, but we'll check for the explosion directions correctly now. That means you might have to be more accurate with that. So that could be like an indirect nerf, basically. The damage of exploding automaton jump. Automaton. Bro. Maybe I'm reading too quick. Let me slow down. The damage of exploding automaton jump packs has been decreased by 50%. It will still set you on fire though. Alright, cool. So that was all. Oh my goodness. That's quite a bit though, to be honest with you. All the general gameplay tips. Or changes. I don't know why I said tips. And then the rest is all fixes and knowns. I said we're only going to go through that, but as you can see, there's quite a laundry list. So basically, patch 0.01.000 is pretty loaded, but at the same time, it also feels very mild and light-handed, to be honest with you. So I'm not quite sure how it's going to feel, as if, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think this is going to change, just kind of like my thought process, how the game feels that much, to be honest with you. Reading through this, I think it's going to be minute, and if things that were affecting you got changed for the better, then you'll probably feel that. But a lot of them, I'm like, we'll see. There's a lot of changes, so it's a big list, but I don't know if it was, they still didn't just want to over-tune the game. I feel like maybe they just need to do that, you know? Just let me know in chat or comments, depending on how you guys are feeling. If anyone's still watching in chat until before we get into the live stuff, or in YouTube, if you think they should maybe push it a bit further, see what's really broken, what people are really exposed, and then dial that back a little bit. Or if you kind of like the mass mild approach to try to bring it up in increments. I think maybe that's where they're going with this patch. But anyway, that's going to be all for me. And then if you're live, or if you're definitely going to be moving into the gameplay and testing out some of these things, and if you're watching this on YouTube, maybe check out the Twitch VOD at twitch.tv/0themagic0. And the rest of you, see you soon. And in YouTube, thanks for watching. Peace